Rockingham County Sheriff Sam Page is here, and we're going to talk about a lot of things. The sheriff is asking for some help with some recent cases that they've had here in Rockingham County. We're always glad to have him here, and it's always nice to be able to hear from the sheriff himself about where these cases stand and how things are going with these particular cases. Not only that, but how you can help out. If you've got some information that can help the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office, no matter how small it may seem to you, it may be really big for them. So we'll tell you how to do that coming up in just a little bit. Glad to have you here.
Glad to be back.
You've had a busy month. It's been a busy month for you. You've had a lot going on. You had some things happening before Christmas.
Right.
And then the New Year's came around, and then it just seems like it continued.
It seems like from Thanksgiving to the present that our investigators have been basically working around the clock. We've had a lot of calls of violence, and we've had 5 homicides.
5 homicides. So we're going to talk about that. Before we do, though, I want to ask you something, and this is something that we didn't talk about, that we would talk about today, but I want to ask you. I know that you have always been really concerned about border security, and I know that the president is talking about the wall and trying to do that and how they're going to pay for it and all of that. Are you feeling better about maybe trying to shore up the borders? What's your feeling? I know because you've worked with not only you've worked with the National Sheriff's Association on this, you've been very involved in trying to get more security for the walls.
I think that's a comforting thing, is that for the past 6 years of working with the National Sheriffs, with the Border Security and Immigrations Committee, I've had the opportunity to travel to the border a few times to actually see it for myself, to talk to the sheriffs that live down there. And with what's going on right now with President Trump, I think it's a move in the right direction to make the effort to better secure our borders. Obviously, they are porous. 90% of our drugs, particularly our heroin, comes through the border with Mexico, and we've got to stop the flow, as you've heard that say before. But we've also got to allow our Border Patrol agents to do their jobs, untie their hands, and then also allow the ICE agents to do their job in the interior. You hear a lot about, well, the immigration system is broke. Well, what I see and the way I see it and understand it is the immigration laws have been written. They're good laws, but we have to allow our immigration agents and our Border Patrol agents to do their jobs. And also using existing technologies as it applies to border security. I don't think you're going to be able to be building a 2,000-mile total wall, but you may build barriers at different locations where they're needed most, and then supplement with support from the Border Patrol and the technology they have available right now.
I saw some pictures of the walls, and I say walls because I was amazed that in some locations there are no walls. They go, and then you might see this big, huge high wall, and then you won't see anything, and then you see. And I saw where one was going out from the beach out into the ocean, and you could almost swim across the thing. Right. So I think when people see these things, they think, we're really not as secure as.
Right. Well, the thing is, I think the wall is more of a concept of, you have to define your borders. A country that doesn't define its borders won't stand very long. But you can go into Juarez, El Paso area, Juarez, which is on the other border in Mexico, and you can see some serious steel fencing. I mean, when I say fencing, they're walls, but they're steel fencing barriers.
Right.
And you see this go on for miles. And you see Border Patrol agents every 100 yards apart. You'll see Border Patrol vehicles. Now that's in Juarez, in the city. I mean, in El Paso. Along the border with Juarez. But if you go 25, 30 miles out of town, you can see one strand of barbed wire. So and then again, I know they utilize the sensor systems, and I know they do have patrols. But here's what I give people an example. If you had a Border Patrol agent assigned to the city of Eden, right there at the river, and you had a Border Patrol agent assigned to Reesville at Walmart, and they were periodically supposed to drive back and forth along that 10-mile stretch.
Right.
How easy it would be to cross the border without other types of monitoring. So they have to use the sensor systems. They have to use the manpower. In some areas where they're high area of movement across the border area, those areas, they have to put some type of barriers there.
Especially in some sections of where the Rio Grande, the river is. I mean, you could almost. It seems like you could almost walk across.
You're right. Exactly, Mark. We were at one place where the Rio Grande was about 30 feet apart, where it was more mud than it was water, and I mean, you could throw a rock over to Mexico. But I've also been down there, McAllen, Texas, down there where they had all the border crossings with the families coming in from Central America, coming into McAllen, Texas, from that area. And it's like the Dan River. It's wide as the Dan River and stuff. So the Rio Grande, it winds through through Texas and on. But again, barriers are important in certain areas, but they also got to let the men and women that work in Border Patrol do their jobs, free their hands, let them enforce the law as it was set up to be done.
When I thought about it, and I heard all this dialogue, you were the first person I thought about, because I know that you have said that when crime crosses, no matter whether it crosses the state line or it crosses the border, the United States border, that it's not going to stay very long. And you've said many times before that crime that makes its way into the country is eventually going to come to the home area. We're talking about Rockingham County, the Star News region, so things happen.
Well, I'm going to be heading up to Washington Friday, and I'm going to be meeting with the National Sheriff's Association for our winter conference. I'm going to have the opportunity to engage several sheriffs of small and large counties, and also I'm on the Border Security and Immigrations Committee, so I'll be meeting with the committee and seeing what's going on right now with any type of legislation or any other activities in the border areas. Again, when it comes down to it, it's about protecting America, because if we protect our borders, then we protect our interior America.
All right.
Citizens.
Let's talk about things closer to home. We got some things going on here from about Halloween, I guess maybe you would say, which is at the end of October, early November. From that point on until where we are now, it's been really busy for the Sheriff's Office.
It has. We've had a lot of shootings. We have a lot of shootings since Sunday, November 20th, 2016 to the present. I think we've had 5 homicides, and our investigators, we have made an arrest on one of the homicides that occurred on Christmas Eve, and that case was involving our victim, Jerry Lacey Pulliam, which his residence where he was staying was right off of, where he was found was right off of Brooks Road. And so that case, a person has been arrested. But as we go through these, I would say if you have any information pertaining to any of these cases, they're not closed. We're actively working them. Our investigators are out working many days. They've been on these cases. But that little piece of the puzzle that you talked about a while ago may be that piece that brings this case to closure.
I've told people that in the past when I worked for the Sheriff's Office. No matter how small you may think that a piece of information could be, maybe you saw a vehicle that looked suspicious, maybe you saw someone that you don't know or something, and you are in these areas, any little bit could possibly help the detectives make a big splash in a case.
Well, every one of these victims had family in this county, and they need closure, and we need closure, and we need to bring this person to justice. And again, we appeal to your help tonight. That's why I brought this information forward, and when you're ready, we'll go through some.
Well, let's start out with the one that happened near Eden on Sunday, November the 20th, and this started out as an accident case. I understand, and this is where Cornelius Clark, who was 23 years old. The Sheriff's Office response to this is just outside of the city of Eden, right across the river. Speaking of the river,
right there
the Dan River.
Right there in Harrington, right there at the intersection of Harrington Highway where it intersects with Highway 14, right at the bottom of the hill.
So when deputies and EMS arrives on the scene, it looks like a motor vehicle accident. There we go. There's an actual picture from the scene of that, and that's at Highway 14 and Harrington Highway. Take it from there, Sheriff.
On this particular case, the victim's case, Cornelius Montrell Clark, he's a black male, age 23, was found outside his vehicle, and when the first responders got there, saw where apparently he had been shot, and I think in the upper torso area. My understanding, he was transported to an area hospital and died at the hospital. So
this is a case where it starts out looking like an accident case, but then you realize this guy's got a gunshot wound.
It's more to it, yes, sir.
So there's more to this, but in a case like this, the victim succumbs to their injuries, and then the next thing you know, you can't get information directly from the source. So then detectives have to turn it up a notch. It makes it even tougher because now they have to really hit the ground running and try to come up with a suspect in these cases.
Exactly. And again, on this particular case where Cornelius Montrell Clark was shot and subsequently died from his injuries on November 20th, if you know any information, please contact the Sheriff's Office. You can contact us directly, or you can contact us through Crime Stoppers, 349-9683. I'll probably repeat that a few times.
Sure.
You do not have to give your name. You can remain anonymous. But if you know any information pertaining to the shooting on Sunday, November 20th, involving our victim, Cornelius Montrell Clark, from the Eden area, please give us a call.
Now, one thing that we do want to remind you is when you call the Crime Stoppers program, Sheriff, you've said this many times before, you don't have to tell anybody who you are.
They will assign you a number, and like I said, you could receive up to $1,000 reward for information leading to the arrest conviction of the person's
There's the number.
responsible. There's the number
Right there, yeah.
349-9683.
So call that number, and somebody will be there 24 hours a day.
Absolutely. We're gonna continue working our cases. We're gonna continue working them hard. But while we're doing that, if you call in, you might have that one piece of the puzzle we're looking for.
Now, November the 20th is the date that happened. Let's move forward to some cases. And Christmas Eve 2016 was a crazy day for the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office because you had a shooting at a party
at the Moose Lodge.
At the Moose Lodge, and then you had two homicides that
Back to
happened.
back. Yes, sir.
So let's start out with that shooting at the Moose Lodge. And Candace, you can leave that number up if you want to, because the Sheriff's Department can use some help with
Absolutely.
this shooting,
Thank
and
you.
Crime Stoppers will be the number to do that.
Absolutely.
It's at the Madison Moose Lodge. It
Right.
wasn't a function of the Moose Lodge; it was a private
It was
party.
a private party, a DJ party, and again, the location is the Madison Moose Lodge at 490 K Fork Road in Madison. There were about 250 to 300 persons that were present, and my understanding is somewhere around 219, we got a call.
In the morning, 2:19 in the morning.
2:19 in the morning,
Right.
we got a call that there'd been a fight, and then two subjects, believed to be male subjects, pull like some type of mask over their faces, or in the scene, not coming from outside, but already inside the building, pulled the masks down or hats down over their faces, and started shooting handguns. And 7 people, I understand, were struck.
So they get on the scene, and if I'm not mistaken, there were 2 at the scene, and then there were victims scattered out all over the place.
Two at Checkers Store, which is on Highway 311, just down the road. I think we had one person over at Western Rockingham Middle School in the parking lot.
Right.
And I believe we had another later found up in near K Fork Road, just across the line.
In Stokes County.
Stokes County.
And then another walked into Annie Penn
He
Hospital.
sure did. Later on, walked into Annie Penn Hospital.
So you've got all of these cases going on, and so one particular incident turns into all of these cases where you have victims shot.
Yes, sir.
But here's what baffles me. Help me out here.
Okay.
I'm baffled by how is it that you've got these 2 people that were at this party, and people obviously saw them. They all of a sudden put on masks and then start shooting people, but nobody knows anything. How does that work?
That's a good question. Best I can say is this, is when there are 250 to 300 people present, and I think 2 young ladies got into a fight, and then persons decided to jump up on this table and start discharging a firearm and shooting innocent people.
Right.
7 innocent people. Somebody saw something.
300 people with 2 eyes. That's
That's a lot.
600 eyes that could have seen what was going on. They know something.
That's a lot of visibility.
So, I mean, come on, why you've got to do that. Are you going to, I mean, what's to say that some of these people who know what's going on but just simply refuse, I'm not going to get involved in this, who's to say that they couldn't be next?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, really, I mean, if you think about
and you
it.
know what? What's to say that the next time there's another party somewhere in Southside Virginia or in Rockingham County or around, it could happen. It could happen again.
Right.
Help us to help the victims in these cases. 7 people shot. Could have been even worse. Could have been 7 people killed.
That was the first shooting incident on Christmas Eve, and then the next one, the second one, was over near Reedsville, involving Calvin Jerome Simpson. That was on North Fork Drive, and here's a picture of Calvin Jerome Simpson. So somebody obviously knows Mr. Simpson. He's got family and friends here, I know.
My understanding is a local guy from the North Fork Drive Mobile Home Park, which is located just off of Highway 87 on the 150 west, 150 west, like going toward Hall River.
Yeah.
And it's on the right, on the back side.
There's a map there for you, and you can see there's Highway 150, and then you see that little dot there at the bottom of the screen. That's where North Fork Drive is located.
It's right before you get to the Hall River, and like I said, it's very limited information originally coming in on this case. But my understanding that Mr. Simpson was at his residence, inside his residence, and some type of altercation or something occurred in the doorway of his residence, and he was subsequently shot in the chest and died from his gunshot wounds at the scene.
So somebody out there has to know something about this, obviously. Maybe you heard something. This is in a mobile home park, so maybe you saw a vehicle speeding out of that mobile home park. Maybe you heard something.
Or you heard something after the fact.
Yeah.
Again, every little piece of information can be beneficial.
Now, we talked about the murder of Jerry Lacy Pulliam. There's been an arrest in that case. Let's move forward to January the 23rd. That was last week. And that is when Fred Jessup, who was 64 years old, at his house on Gideon Grove Church Road. I understand that this started out as a medical call as well. This is a situation where somebody goes in to check on the neighbor.
Hadn't heard from him in a day or so.
And on Monday, January the 23rd, just before 8 o'clock in the morning, at this very house that you're looking at now, they go in and they find him, and it started out as a medical call, but it ended up being a homicide case.
That's correct, and found him inside his residence, where he was deceased, and the medical examiner discovered where he apparently had been shot.
So in this situation, you have someone who's out there that knows something going on, and I think we talked about this one on the air. He lived alone. Am I right?
That's right.
He lived alone, and you were telling me you were certain that this was not a case of where he shot himself, that this was where someone obviously
did that. That is correct. This is homicide.
So he's got a gunshot wound to the torso or to the chest area. So obviously, do we know? I mean, was someone mad? Or you may not be able to answer these questions.
I really can't answer that, but let me give you a little detail. On the location. It's right near the Gentry Road on Gideon Grove Road, not too far from Knight's Store. Knight's Store near the Ellisboro Road, and that's like halfway in between the Guilford County line, going over toward Ellisboro Road, Guilford County side.
Right.
It's about halfway up Gideon Grove Road on the left if you're coming from Knight's Store. And my understanding, he did live by himself. I don't think he'd been seen in a couple of days, so the neighbor was checking on him. And when he found him in that condition, when the first responders got there, they saw where he was deceased, and then the medical examiner discovered that he had actually been shot in the upper torso.
How long had he been dead?
I think he hadn't been seen in a couple of days.
Okay, so
a couple of days.
Maybe someone that lives in that general area.
But Fred Jessup was from the Stokesdale community, or we call it Stokesdale area of Rockingham County.
Right.
So we have had our investigators up in the area. We've had some from our staff going through, handing out flyers at the different businesses in the Stokesdale area. Again, hoping someone might have seen, heard from someone something pertaining to the case where Fred Jessup dealing with his homicide, which occurred again on last Monday, the 23rd of January, 2017.
Then on Sunday, Sunday, January the 29th, the Sheriff's Department responds to a call on the Anglin Mill Road. And Candace, if you want to put the number back up to Crime Stoppers again, that will be, so people, if you've got any clues about this particular case, go ahead and write this number down and contact the Sheriff's Office. David Wayne Bullens, 24 years old, a resident of the Anglin Mill Road.
That's right.
Which is northwest of Stoneville. It's almost in Virginia. It's not far from Virginia. It's not far from Stokes County.
I don't think it's much. I think it's maybe a mile or less from the Stokes County line.
And then Virginia, the Virginia border. So this could be a case where someone that's watching right now from Southside Virginia, or maybe Stokes County, could maybe pass out.
Stoneville, again, you cover your station covers such a great area. We wanted to put this out, but yeah, that's right on the furthest northwest corner of Rockingham County. Right near the Stokes County line and the Virginia line.
3013 Anglin Mill Road, and so deputies respond to that location along with EMS, and you find David Wayne Bullens, 24 years old, lying in the doorway with a gunshot wound.
My understanding, he was still alive at that time, but I think he died en route to the hospital. But what I was going to say is we do have some suspect information on it. There was
someone there at the scene.
There was a female subject at the scene at the time of the shooting. Also, there was a suspect vehicle described that was put out on the radio, and somebody actually had posted on Facebook, and I'd play that coming over here. But what I was going to tell you is an eyewitness described the shooter as a heavy-set African-American male, clean cut, wearing glasses, had on a black-colored hat, black and colored shirt, black colored coat, and red and colored pants. and he drove away in a loud-sounding, dark in color pickup truck. So we do have some suspect information there. But again, I'd ask you if you know anything or have any information pertaining to the shooting case, homicide case with our victim of David Wayne Bullins from the Anglin Mill area of Stoneville. There's our number, Crime Stoppers, 349-9683. We'd appreciate it.
And you can call the Sheriff's Office directly. We got that number there on the bottom of the screen, 336-634-3232. That's the 24-hour number to the Sheriff's Office, so you can call there too. So this is a situation where I do believe in the case of David Wayne Bullins, this was not a random act.
We do not believe this was a random act.
So in essence, you're saying that the shooter and the victim may have known one another? Or maybe
I really can't
can you say?
I really can't comment on that question.
So, but it wasn't random. You're saying
we do not
when you say random, you're saying that they just didn't pick a house and go there.
Exactly.
Okay.
We'll say that all these areas where we've had these homicides, we've tried to increase our patrolling in those areas. But I also want to be clear. Also, if anybody has any information to pertain to these homicides, is that these are not closed cases. These are not cold cases. We're going to pursue these cases. I've got 18 criminal investigators, and they're going to work on each one of these investigations until we bring this person responsible to justice. So, the person responsible, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. You've heard me say a lot of things in investigations, but we're on these cases. We're working them hard, and we welcome any information. We appreciate it. And Mark, I appreciate the opportunity to put this information out. And if you please take this number down, 349-9683. It's Crime Stoppers. You don't have to give your name. You're assigned a number. You're anonymous, and you could receive up to $1,000 reward for information on these cases. These are serious cases. These are people's family members that have been murdered, and we want to bring those persons to justice responsible
For that, okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's, we've only got a few minutes left. I want to talk about tax time. And when you talk about tax time, you're thinking to yourself, and I said this yesterday, you're thinking about, boy, I can buy a new television with my tax return.
What are you going to do with your refunds?
Yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I could go on vacation.
Absolutely.
I could go do some things. I could go buy things that I've always wanted but didn't have the money to do. Well, in addition to you planning how to spend your money, there's some scammers out there that's doing the same thing, right?
Exactly. And, in defense of the IRS, we've had this IRS scam going on for a while.
Right.
About the person will call you on the phone and say you owe money,
right.
And if you'll send a check to this address or
right.
give us your credit card or something like this, they can take care of it.
Yeah.
The IRS deals in letters from the IRS. Mm-hmm. So, but if you get a phone call like that, please report it to your local law enforcement agency. Please do not give out your personal information, Social Security numbers, credit card numbers, any of that information, your address where you live or any of that information. But make some notes and contact your local law enforcement agency. But we do see a lot of IRS scams, but it started before tax season.
Oh, yeah.
But then
Microsoft employees.
We've had people that representing themselves as Microsoft representatives. You go online, you click it. And I got to tell you this, I'm still very concerned about going onto the internet and Googling and hoping I get making sure you have a legitimate business. If you're not sure who you're doing with, please don't give your personal information out to any business. And if you're not sure who's calling you on the phone, hang up the phone.
One day here, I'm going to tell this quick story. One day I was here, I get a call from a 336 area code. I answer the phone. Local area code.
Uh-huh.
I answer the phone. And on the other line is a person with an extremely thick foreign accent who tells me that my computer has a virus and they're with Microsoft and they need to help me get the virus out, but they need some information.
That's it.
So I played with them a little while, and finally they got frustrated and hung up the phone on me. But there are some people out there who may not be aware of that and fall for that and end up being a victim.
That's exactly what happened on the most recent cases. If you got scammers posting as law enforcement officers, if you have any question about if someone calling you as a law enforcement, get their name and their number, and then note and tell them you'll get back with them. Contact your local law enforcement agency and report that information. And don't be embarrassed to let us know, because I would rather someone call before you lose a lot of money
Yeah.
or give out too much personal information. But there's a lot of databases out there where people can get your information.
Sure they can.
But don't volunteer anything over the phone or over the internet that you don't want out there.
So if someone tells you that they're calling from the Internal Revenue Service and you need a prepaid card to pay off your taxes, or you need access to your computers so they can help you out. What they're trying to do, I think in that case, is they're trying to get into your computer so they can look up your personal information. If they say, hey, I'm with the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office, there's a warrant out for your arrest, I can take care of this on the phone. If you'll just give me your credit card number, make it disappear.
It might be a scam.
It
will be a scam.
Remember the old saying, and we're almost out of time.
If it's too good to be true,
it probably is. It is.
It is.
In most cases.
Yeah. Be
so
careful
don't be
out
a
there.
victim.
Be guarded.
All right, we got to go. It's always good to have you here. Thank you for coming. We appreciate that.
Thanks,
good luck with these cases.
We appreciate it.
And
we're going to everybody's help.
We're going to re-air this several times for you.
Thank you.
And so we want to make sure that we get the word out there to help out as much as we possibly can.
Thank you.
Rockingham County Sheriff Sam Page drops by our studios once a month, normally at the end of the month, to bring us the news of the Sheriff's Office and what's going on. We wish him the best, and to the deputies at the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office. We got to take a break because we've got lots more coming up for you. But first, we've got to take a look at this.